Good morning. Um, I am on my own today, though I'm hoping Jim will maybe call in. So let's see if he's here, that we can also have him be here with us. Let's see if this is going to work. Um, I hope so. Anyway, it looks like, oh, okay. Looks like we're live, and we are counting the Omer still. We're in the 6th week, um, and it's the 39th day of counting the Omer. The 39th day, so tomorrow will be the 40th day. 40 of 49, the 50th taking us to Sinai on Shavuot, where we spend the night praying that the heavens will open to our prayers, opened to them by learning. So before we begin, we offer a prayer for learning. Thanks for being here this morning, and I'm just hoping everything is working okay. We'll find out. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. Thank you for giving us this notion to busy ourselves with the words of Torah. They keep us on that straight path, that Mesilat HaShirim, that path of morality. V'ha'arevna Adonai Eloheinu et divrei Toratecha mifinu u'v'fi amcha Beit Yisrael v'nehyeh anachnu v'tze'etze'ena v'tze'etze'e amcha Beit Yisrael kulanu yod'ei shemecha v'lomdei Toratecha lishma. Studying Torah for its own sake. Baruch atah Adonai hamelamed Torah le'amo Yisrael. Thank you, Hashem, for teaching Torah, letting us teach Torah, letting it flow through us, so that we can find our way into a better day. So Jim always has a special poem for the counting of this 39th day of moving through the Omer. We are counting. I'm just hoping somebody's going to tell me that we're okay, that we're hearing okay, that this is somehow working. Are we working? Somebody will tell me that we're on here. Not sure I did this right. I hope so. Are we here? Anyway, I'm going to assume that everything is working okay. And this is counting in the 6th week, so 6 of the 7 weeks. Each day there is another sensibility or attribute of godliness that corresponds to the week that we're in. We are in the week of Yesod. Yesod, the foundation, being in the body, before we have next week the spigot where it all kind of flows out. So this is the week of Yesod, and today is Netzach. Netzach is, Jim interprets it as, kind of that certainty. You think you know. And, all of this is a balance. Everything is a balance. And I think we'll see today in the poem of Shir HaShirim how it's never the twos, it's always threes. It's always threes. It's yesterday, today, tomorrow, youth, middle age, aged. It's always the balance of the threes. So let's find out what that is today. The week of Yesod, an integrating middle pole, when what we learn becomes what we do, the wisdom expressed in body wisdom. I'm hoping somebody will tell me that this is working. It's working. There we are. Okay, it's working. Good, thank you. Today, a victory. Whatever else we are holding in our breath. Take a deep breath. The exhale will be a slow slide into body wisdom. You've earned it by being alive. A wisdom that might become a spiritual experience. Chesed, love. Gevura, restraint. Tiferet, beauty. Netzach, you think you know. Hod, you don't. Yesod, foundation, body, and Malchut, the spigot. So the blessing, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sfirat ha'omer. We are counting the Omer. Hayom shmona ushloshim yom shehem chamisha shavuot ve'arba'a yamim le'omer. Is it right? Today is 39 of the Omer, which is 5 weeks and 4 days that we have been counting and studying and learning and doing this together. Bless our president, our vice president, our mayor, and all their noble retinue. I just read that my friend Tracy Blackman is on her way to the White House to talk to the president about how to gain the trust of the people after yesterday's horrific shooting in yet another school, this time taking out a whole 4th grade. There just are no words. She said her prayer was that he listens. He doesn't fill the space with talk, but that he listens to them. The counting of the Omer as taught by the poets of rock and roll and Ben Bagbag, chesed, loving kindness overflowing, with gevura, love, not fade away. The third pole, beauty, tiferet, bright, dark, and deep. Tiferet, the beauty, is not on the surface. It is bright, dark, and deep. Netzach feels like we've been here before, looking for soul in Hod. With Yesod, a pleasure ground, look from both sides now. Malchut, inward, and quiet, God, a jigsaw timer. With Malchut, the spigot opens. Turn it. As taught by poets of rock and roll and Ben Bagbag. Fountain, its origins love. Love is chesed. Loving kindness overflowing. Negotiations by gevura, restraint. Lifted up and balanced into tiferet, beauty. With netzach this time ready, second pass. You think you know, you don't know. That's always the most important place because it leaves room for something new. God knows we need something new, something different. Looking for soul in Hod, settling into synthesis, Yesod in your slacks with Malchut, the spigot is yours, turn it. Don't turn it. So let us go on to this place we have come to in Shir HaShirim, the song of all songs, with our hearts broken once again. You know, I just can't stop thinking about all those families. Lost a child. You know, something gets ripped out of you. Something that is so wrong, terribly wrong. So let's see if we can find some wisdom this morning in this part of this poem. You know, it's confusing, this part of the poem. We're in chapter 8, and we'll do 8, 9, and 10 if we can move through them. Because 8 begins with a child. You know, and the redactor maybe was put this lovely bit of poetry here because she's going home. You know, remember we talked about yesterday how she left the seduction of the royal palace and she said, it's too much can go wrong here. because the values, the rules are, they're too much caught up in the wealth, in the seduction, in the hierarchical nature of the palace, right? The royalty, the institution. So she decides she's going to give it all up, and she goes back to where she tended the flock. She goes back to the field. She goes back to the pastures. She goes back to the hills outside of Jerusalem, outside of the royal courts. And what happens is we have this strange achut lanu katana, this strange verse. We have a little sister. Who is speaking here? So is this her brothers welcoming her back because they didn't realize that she grew up? She's grown up. Wait a minute, what happened? This is our little sister. When she left us here, she had no suitors. She we sent her out to do her work, the tending of the flocks in the fields, because it wasn't dangerous for her, because she wasn't developed yet. She hadn't hit puberty yet. Literally, she has no breasts. Shadaim ein la. Shadaim, mountains. Shadaim, breasts. She had none then. um, So, are these the brothers speaking of their responsibility of brothers for a little sister? Remember in chapter 2, right? In chapter 2, they sent her out to the fields almost to punish her, um, to make sure that she would remain chaste. And she didn't like that, because she didn't see herself that way. If you remember way back in chapter 2, right? So they ask, lama naaseh la'achotenu biyom sheyadubar ba. What shall we do for our sister now in the days now that she is spoken for? So what are they asking our Shulamite? Who is she the Ketana? Is this a memory? Are we here having now a kind of wonderful play on youth? The coming into flowering, this lovely age of becoming, and then before we're old and mature and like fine wine. The other thing I was thinking about, I couldn't help but thinking, is that when you lose someone, especially when you lose a child, you don't just lose the child at the age you lose them. You lose every age. You lose the baby that you held. You lose the little toddler that made you smile. You lose that child that delighted in everything they experienced, and every day there's a memory from some part of their life. It isn't just at the time when they left you. You lose that whole flowering, and that's the image here. In fact, Marcia Falk calls the young sister but a young flower. Her breasts are but buds flowering, and that's how you think about someone like that, right? And then they ask, what shall we do for our sister in the day when she shall be spoken for? So they're kind of remembering all of that and wondering, what do we do now? What do we do now? What do we do in this? Trying to see if anybody has something to say here. What do we do now in this time? Wow, that she's no longer a child. What's our responsibility? And then they answer, themselves in verse 9, right? Karmishali. Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm on the wrong place. Im chomahi. Im chomahi. If she is a wall, if she's a wall, what are we going to do? We're going to build her a turret of silver. We're going to, make her a crown, right? If she is a wall, we will build her something of that protects her. If she be a door, now notice she's not a gate, she's not an opening, she's a door. We will enclose her with boards of cedar. We're going to block her up, right? Um, so, and then the other thing that I noticed Jimmy's book, his Jastro points out here, is that the language here is im chomahi, im. It's not so im ve'im, right? It's not im ve'az, it's not if this then that, if she's this, if she's this. It's and what they point out too is that why the door, the plane should come before the turret of silver. It's confusing that, at least that's what Jastrow seems to be saying, that if they're really using this as an image of closing her up, then and adorning her, the closed up door should come before the wall. It's more plain, and you usually go from the more plain image to the more beautiful image, is what she says, is what they're suggesting here. The other thing I thought I would share with you is what Marcia Falk says about this, about the strange imagery here. They are suggesting that that the reward, that this may be the silver is reward to their little sister for coming home and having kept herself chaste. They don't know their sister. While the plank of cedar that boards her up is her punishment if she has been wanton. It sees the woman's brothers as protective to the point of being punitive, like the brothers were in poem number 2. And so Marcia Falk interprets it. She says, if she's a wall, we'll build turrets of silver, but if she's a door, we'll plank her with cedar. In other words, if she's a wall, if she's kept herself closed, we're going to reward her. But if she's been a door that was open, we're punishing her with planks of cedar. That's the way she reads it. But I think she's the only one that seems to read it that way. That makes sense to me. So then she answers, and of course, so we know the Shunammite, we know the Shulamite, goes back and forth, Shulamite. We know this woman. We know that even though she's been absent from her brothers, she's grown up. She's been through a lot. She's really been on quite a journey. And, they don't know how out of the box she is. They don't know how free she is. They don't know how much she knows her own heart and her mind. So she answers in verse 10, Ani choma, I am a wall, but I'm my own wall. I didn't need you to make a wall around me, right? Ani choma, I am a wall. I have been chaste, right? I have been what I need to be, but not because of you and your rules, but I am a wall. I am my own wall. And my breasts, they're not little buds, fellas. They're towers. They're towers. Kamigdalot. Oh, strong towers. Right? Strength. Haiti. Be'inav. And then there's this Be'inav Kamotse Shalom. So this is very confusing. I was in his eyes. So she's talking about her lover. Motse. So there's an expression, Motse chen be'enecha. or motze chen b'enei. That's how we say something is pleasing. They found favor in his eyes. So this is but what does it mean to find shalom in his eyes? Um, well, clearly she's pleasing in his eyes. We know that. But what is this shalom? Why shalom? Wholeness. It's not peace. There's no peace in this poem, right? There's really no peace. Even in the beautiful images of the of nature here, that reflects her beauty and his beauty. It's not about shalom as peace. It's about shalom as wholeness. Um, so I just have to mention one thing about this imagery of a city being feminine, the city of peace. There is always, and you know, we have Shalom, Jerusalem, your ear Shalom, the city of peace, right? And the Shulamite woman, this woman of Jerusalem. So one of the things that Sonsino points out is that, you know, don't let this get by you, that a city of peace, there's always a connection between a city and a woman. Why? Because like a city, a woman can be conquered and entered. I mean, that is not our Shunammite woman, right? But I think Suzanne, right, much better. I have found peace here. Yes, that is exactly what Marcia Fox says. She says, "I am a wall. My breasts are towers." You know, you haven't noticed I've grown up, so I have found peace here with my lover. But I think better is exactly right, Suzanne. I think it's completion. I have found completion with my lover. I have found wholeness. You know, Anila Dodi Vidodi Li, we belong to each other. Why? Because we complete each other. L'cha Dodi, that whole poem call out, you know, that we saw that the imagery comes from Shir HaShirim al-Kabetz in the 16th century. I hope I'm right there, Jim. Wrote, you know, those words, l'chadudi, for the mystics in Sfat, to call to the Shekhinah, to call to that which makes them whole. L'chadudi, come, my beloved, come be with me on this sacred time of Shabbat, Tiferet and the Shekhinah, all of the terrible twos of creation coming together on Shabbat to be whole, to be one, like this Shunammite woman and her beloved, her lover, because there was I in his eyes as one that found not shalom, but wholeness, So the way that the blacks interpret it, I am a wall, she says. My breasts are towers, fellas. I'm grown up now. But for my lover, it's not about any of that. I am a city of peace, not to be conquered, viciously, not to be conquered, but certainly to be entered um, lovingly and with love. So, with that, we have verses 8, 9, and 10 as we continue to make our way through chapter 8. And what we're planning on doing is for Shavuot, the night of Shavuot at 8 o'clock, we'll have our siyum. We'll have our siyum for the counting of the Omer and for all of the lessons we've learned from Shir HaShirim. So Jimmy is on his way back from recording in the studio of Elvis, right? And I'm sure we'll hear a little bit about it tomorrow. Please, a safe drive. Jimmy, come home safely. And may this be a day, this 39th day of the counting of the Omer, where we are in Yesod, but we are Netzach in Yesod. Some amount of certainty in our bodies, um, and we'll keep going. So today is the 25th day of May, 2022, and I thank you for joining us. Let's offer a Mishabera, a healing prayer, calling upon all of the angels. God knows we need them. All of the angels, please come and be with us to heal the broken heart of this nation, the bruised souls of all of those families who will never be the same. The families in Texas, the families in Buffalo, the families, I mean, did we ever think that we will be here? Yes, for Uvalde in Texas, those fourth graders and their teachers, and that whole community and our whole nation. This is us. This could happen anywhere. How do we send our children to school? How do we send our children to school? How do we go to the grocery store? How do we go to church or synagogue anymore? How do we go and feel safe? We have to heal the great divide. We have to heal the hate. And you're right, we have to do something about assault weapons and background checks. We have to make our children more important and more precious than our guns. You know all of this. Enough words. Sometimes the words become so heavy, there's no room for lift. Baruch atah Adonai Rofeh HaOlam. Please, God, help us, help us, help us to heal the sick. Amen. Please have a blessed day. Do something kind for someone else today. Do something that, write a letter. We bring, Suzanne sent some names: Salem Catch, Lucille Granford, Pat Pinchas, Joanne Tamman, Claire Pasternak. In addition to all of those we've named, please help us. Do something right. Do something right today. Tip the scales towards good. Let's be more like the Shunammite woman and claim our space and be a city of peace. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks for being with me. I know Jimmy will be back tomorrow, and we look forward to learning more with you tomorrow morning. Same time, same place.